ask a question while we're Googling this? I genuinely want to know why the hell you would bother. Like, it's your wedding. Why are you going to Madison Square Garden and inviting 1,000 people you don't fucking know?
That's not true. It's not true. So what it is they have such a big life. Welcome to Sunday Lunch, Reality Served, where we discuss reality TV, pop culture, and what distracted us this week. Hello, Jessie.
Hello, Sophie.
How are you?
Oh, so good. We're both a bit tired after our big trip, but excited to be here to break down this juicy episode.
I know we took a week off recording last week. I hope everyone enjoyed our little bonus episode. We call it a side dish. But there is so much to discuss today. So we're going to be going through talking about the season 20 premiere of Real Housewives of Orange County, which literally has just dropped. We're going to be chatting about the Valley, In the City, and Next Gen NYC. We're also going to be talking about what's been distracting us this week, which usually isn't so controversial, but we might be talking about Taylor's wedding, which there may be feels, and obviously our recommendations. I'll just keep talking over you whilst ever you say anything negative.
Yeah, I noticed that. Look, I can appreciate that as a strategy. Before we get into this juicy episode, though, and I have so many thoughts about so many things because Sophie and I literally just came off watching the OC season 20 premiere and I'm so fired up. But before we get into that, I think I have a little bit of revenge. What is in your cup today, Sophie? What's filling your cup?
First of all, I am double parked. I have got my Hydrolite, as always, and then I've got a little bit of a Coke, an ice. What is it called? A Coke Zero. Just because there is so much to discuss, I thought I might need some extra pep in my step. But are we matching? Are we both wearing black turtlenecks today? For those that aren't watching.
I have noticed that we're both in dark turtlenecks and we both have the same kind of like quasi-straight, not quite curled, but wavy hair. So we're looking quite similar. But I think if you lean in, and for everyone who might watch this on YouTube, it's not black, it's blue that I'm wearing. And if you look at my little mug, it has a blue ring around the top. And I have actually a very healthy ginger and lemon herbal tea because I love herbal teas, especially in winter. But why all the blue, I hear you ask? Why all the mention of blue?
Absolutely no idea, and I just love that raspberry background. Shall we move on? New South Wales, congratulations. I watched it. I was so excited because I love the really young, good-looking one. Sean hates it. Now his name's gone, but he hasn't played for the first 2.5 games, and they brought him on for the second half of the third game, and I was Reece Walsh, that's his name, Reece Walsh. Anyway, Reece was on. I thought everything was going to be fine, but no. Anyway, enjoy the win, even though you win with both, right?
You sound so upset, and it's just so adorable because, like, I win every game. It really doesn't matter. I'm only doing this to perturb you, which is not very nice of me, but I thought it was cute that I could match, like, a blue sweater to a blue cup.
Yeah, I'm not actually that happy for you at all, so you've picked that out right there. I was very sad, and how dare they beat us in Brisbane. So ridiculous. But I do love it when Mary Fowler's boyfriend plays well, and he plays for New South Wales, so that's okay.
Well, it's nice that you can find a positive thing to say. You really are you're just a lovely, lovely, beautiful person with a former HR, very fair and just background. So good for you. Can we jump into the OC? Am I allowed to start talking about that?
Yes, you absolutely can. I actually wrote so many notes while I was watching, so I'm just going to bring those up. So please get us started.
Okay, so I have lots of things to say because I haven't watched the OC since the beginning. I've watched some old seasons, some medium seasons, and I've watched probably last 3 or 4 seasons in a row because, like, once Heather Dubrow returned, there is something so unintentionally comedic about that woman. She is so uptight. She's just the most uptight, highly strung lady. And yet, for some reason, I have a real soft spot for Heather Dubrow. She's so stuck up, but pretends stuck up. Like, I don't actually think she's a snob, but I think she plays at being a snob. Anyway, so that was...
I love her, just so you know. And originally, when she left the first show, when she came on, like, so she was fancy pants, etc., I think she was trying to play the role of fancy pants, and she was being all sort of, shy about certain things, and she wouldn't talk about certain things. Whereas I think she really, when you say she's so up to, I feel like she's loosened up so much over the years, but she was building just this enormous house at the time and then left right as it got finished. And I was like trawling the internet trying to find videos of the house. I was like, how dare you leave us? And then she came back and she sold that house immediately. And I was, we saw a little bit of it, but not enough. But yes, I do love her, and I would love to see her on Beverly Hills. I know that's what she wants, and I want that for her.
Obviously, I love that they won't give that to her. They're just like, you're stuck on the slightly more downtrodden show, which I love that for her, because I think last season or the season before, she and Terry even moved into like a Beverly Hills or whatever
They
apartment, because
still live in Beverly Hills.
she is just like, she's like, why won't you just give me this thing that makes sense?
Give me my diamond.
I wonder if Andy and Kyle Richards are just like not on our watch. Like, because Heather comes across as though she's trying to be an alpha. And I feel like she and Kyle would get along in real life, but on the show, I don't think they would get along. So
And she isn't an alpha, as you can tell through her relationship with Tamra, right? Like, she is scared. So, where she shouldn't be. Like, she has everything in her corner that she could be the alpha, but it's not in her spirit.
No, it's just not. And I love that she's always like trying to be fun Heather. And this, I think she was like, I'm in my fun Heather era. And I'm like, oh, babe, if you have to say it, you're not in it. It's not adorable. But okay, so can I just say that one of the pivotal scenes in this first episode for me was when Heather sat down with her mum in her mum's new apartment. Now, as I've mentioned this in previous episodes, I think the Housewives intrigue me so much, and I find it so compelling when they sit down with their mums, because they all have mother wounds and mother issues, and almost on no other show do you get to explore this with older women in real time. And Heather has so many issues with her mum. We've kind of seen hints of it in the past, but this literally was where she first sat down and said to her mum, don't you regret how you've not been involved in our lives? Don't you regret not being around for your grandchildren? Like, just really came at her quickly. And I'm watching this scene, and her mother does not give two shits. Like, her mother was just like, no, I have no regrets. Heather, you've got your own life. I've got my own life. Most people see their grandparents once a year. Heather was just so taken aback. Like, I really think she thought moving her mum from New York to California so they could be closer together. Her mum's a lot older now. Her dad's passed away. I think Heather thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have this kind of emotional reunion. There's going to be all these things between us. And like, her mum is clearly just not that person. And it was wild to watch. Did you find this as compelling as me?
Yes, I did. I wrote actually so many notes on it because, again, like, there are similarities to my own life and experience with this exact conversation. And so, like, at one point she says, my mum just isn't self-actualized like that. And I thought, Heather, your mum is so self-actualized. It's you. And so, like, first of all, her mum, did you see like her mum's like furniture and decor and that? Like, I just wanted to pause and look around the room. So this woman is fabulous. So when Heather's saying, like, so mum, now that my sister and I have moved you here, and the mum says, oh, I'd like to spend some more time with my grandchildren because I'm here. And Heather's like, well, the children are grown up. You've missed your shot, haven't you? Don't you regret it? Don't you regret it? And her mum's like, well, no, I don't regret it. And, I'm from New York. I stayed in New York. Your father was working. And Heather really wants her to say, like, yes, I'm devastated. I've lived my life incorrectly and I did not spend enough time with my grandchildren. And I think the reason I felt such big feelings and relate to it is it's exactly the same happened with me. So I left Brisbane for 12 years and literally moved back to Brisbane with my two young children. I think I arrived on the Friday and my mum left on the Sunday to move to Tasmania. And I had begged mum, I'd said, live with us or, do this, that, and the other. Like, can't you stay in Brisbane for a period of time? And my mum was like, there is no surprise here, Sofie. I have been telling you for a decade, when I retire, I'm moving to Tassie. And I was like, but don't you want? Anyway, I was such a huff and puff about it. I was like a jerk to her for a year. And I really had to sort of come to terms with it. I'm like, why am I being so selfish? I'm like, this is my mum's life, not my life. And she is thriving in Tassie and has been thriving in Tassie for nearly 10 years. We see her all the time. We talk to her all the time. But she's created a petanque club down there. She's got this whole, well, actually, now you live there, Jessie. Now you followed my mum down there, which is amazing.
I have been to Petonk to see the club once, and those ladies are all living their best lives. I did not join Petonk, not my vibe, but they're loving it. And this is the thing, Sophie, is that you left for 12 years too, and you didn't worry about how that might have affected your mum. Rightly so, because you have to live your life, and your mum understood that. And equally, this is where mums and daughters can find things tricky, is that sometimes we feel like an extension of them, or they're an extension of us. We feel we have rights over them. I have been through all of this with mum's new relationship and very recent wedding. I totally understand the feeling. My mum even forgot my birthday yesterday.
So did I. Happy birthday for yesterday. I love you.
But that's not the first time she's done it. She forgot it when I was 40 as well. Like, at some point, you have to realize that you're both separate adults who absolutely love each other. And as you say, you see your mum all the time. There's visits. Everyone makes the effort. But we can see in Heather that feeling that you had, which was, I just want you to say this one thing, which will allow me to not be upset with you and also feel like I am still more important to you than what you're letting on.
But Heather, you need to let that go. And it's like, Heather, you actually moved. You left New York. And even if the mother did leave, whatever. Because the other thing I think about is like, you want your parent to be their best selves. Like, my mum is her best self because she's living her best life that she deserves. And that means I get the best version of her, but my kids get the best version of her. If she had stayed trapped in this little life, or Heather's mum had, you can tell Heather's mum's fabulous. She was, all she cares about is how she travels and does what. I'm like, yes, she's living her life, Heather. And I just feel as though that allows this woman to be the best version of herself for the people around her. So it was sad to see, and I can see that they talk about it more in the season. And it's like, Heather, this is you. This is your stuff. You need to figure it out as to why you can't move past your mum being a whole human, and stop trying to put it on her, because yeah, otherwise I don't see it. I don't see them having the relationship that Heather's looking to have.
Or even close to it. And I think Heather said something really telling, which you sort of mentioned there, which was, she said, when you talk to my mum, all she cares about is what she's done. And I was like, that's really an unfair thing to say, because of course your mother cares about you as her daughter, your sister as her daughter, the grandkids. Of course she cares about that. And in fact, Heather, you're not there when she's been in New York probably talking to her friends about you and the kids, but you're not there to hear that. You just assume when she comes to you and say, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? And your mum goes, well, I traveled here and I went to this art gallery there and I bought this incredible piece of antique furniture and I've done this and I've done that. Why shouldn't your mum be proud of the things she's done?
Absolutely.
This is something I think where maybe I'm particularly passionate about it because I'm child-free or childless, whichever way you want to look at it. But women are not just mothers. And because you've had children doesn't mean that you are just existing for your children. That is not how it works. You have to be a full person. And Heather has not felt that with her mother yet. And I just know there's going to be more to unpack. There'll be eating related things. Heather is so thin.
Yeah.
There'll be perfectionism type of things going on. Did she become an actress to get her mum's attention? Like, I'm just so excited to see this come to the fore because I am genuinely fascinated by Heather and how tightly she holds herself.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that on the other hand, she's such a phenomenal mother. Like, she's got the trans child, she's got a gay child, she's got, every type of child, and she has been the most loving, supportive. She gets out in the queer community and she does fundraisers and I think she's probably trying to be the mother she wishes she had in a weird way, but yet it has made her this phenomenal mother, but who has then dedicated her life to her children, gave up her career for her children, as she talks about. So there's all this bitterness there. And I think, like, I say it to my girls all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to damage them either. So what is the appropriate age? Like, you are their whole world. But now that they're sort of in their tween era, I am trying to say to them, like, girls, I am your mum, but it's not the only thing that I am. I am a human, so I make mistakes, and I don't want to, like, rip apart their worldview or make them feel unsafe in any way. But I'm like, I need you to know that that's not the only thing that I am. And I absolutely am that, but it's not everything. Because I don't want to resent my life either. Yeah, so it is, anyway, it's complicated. I'll stop making it about me, but it's fascinating. And I'm so glad that they're sharing it for us.
Same. And I love you. I think you're brave to share your experience too. And as I said, even without my own children, without, having grandkids to kind of lure my mum with, it's you just reach an age where you realize, oh my goodness, my parents are just people and we're all just living our lives.
And it's this weird thing where we think we own our parents. It is
Yeah.
so weird. And it's like we don't own our parents. And I mean, I've got to the point where I sometimes think I own Sean's parents, like telling them to move and doing all sorts of things. Anyway, it is bizarre. I just have to say, for Heather, who is so desperate to be liked and loved, her party, this is, her Valentine's party, which cost $75,000. I had to write it down. It was hosted in a venue that used to be a funeral home, which I just loved. I was like, amazing. Invite me, because it had a perfume bar. You could fish for diamonds. It had tattoos, real tattoos. There was a bouncy house. There was a harpist. There was an ice luge. There was toasted sandwiches for Shannon. And there was a merch bar where they needed your shoe size. I know, it was like, Heather, invite me to your parties, please.
She's so big on the merch and giving people stuff. I have to say, though, okay, two things from that party. Number one, Shannon on the bouncy house gave me life. That woman cannot relax either to save herself. She is so chaotic all the time. She's like trying to dance on the bouncy house. She's like getting all awkward and like she cannot bend her knees, but she still tries. And I love her for that. But I will say, I didn't think it looked that impressive for $75,000. That venue looked very... Like, what would we...
It looked sparse when you opened it because it's almost like a warehouse with stations. But I was like, 75,000, that is not enough. Because I was like, that means the diamonds you're fishing for are not very good. Because like if you think about all the other expenses, so when she said 75,000, I was a bit disappointed. I was like, come on, you can afford more.
She can. But wasn't this the woman that spent $40,000 on a sushi dinner party or something?
The whatever the sushi was last time. So
Nobu. And it was ridiculous. And then she had a little tantrum and stormed off. Well, it's interesting you say that about the money because Vicky, who is returning, has kind of already come for her about her money. And they did sell that big house. And I wonder what financially is going on there. But let's move on to Vicky coming back. I don't understand why she's back. Can you enlighten me? She seems very doddery to me.
she is the OG of the OC. And so Vicky has had such a, roller coaster. And I actually think maybe Andy said recently, like, her circumstances have changed dramatically, but she has not. And so when they started the OC, which was the very first of the franchise, so there's a lot of, I guess, pride in that. And she was one of the original cast members, and I think the only one that's still on the show. And so when that started, so she just had young kids, she was married to Don, and she was doing Kodo insurance from her home. So it was like a home business. And this woman has always worked so hard, so hard. And now obviously it's this incredible, Kodo insurance, it's still going. And so her life has changed and grown, and she's sort of gotten wealthier, but she's continued to work hard. But there's a real pride in being the OG of the OC, being the first to do 20 seasons. What they actually just did, and that what they were referencing in this episode, is the girls' trip that they just did. And basically it was 20 years of it was a celebration of 20 years of Housewives, and it was a bus trip that started in the OC and then it went to a bunch of the different locations. But the main cast of the bus trip were OGs only. So Vicky was the representative for OC, and then at each location they held a big event where all the other housewives would come, which is where that big fight with Shannon and Tamara obviously happened at the Quiet Woman. That was filming for the bus trip.
I was wondering why they were like, there was a big fight at the Quiet Woman. I'm like, not the Quiet Woman again. No one's ever quiet at the Quiet Woman.
So we will get to see that. That bus trip whole thing is, I think, August 9th. And there was a lot that went down in that, particularly even so they all go to Dorinda's to Bluestone Manor, and I think that that's where Kelsey and um Rosie might have a big fight. Although why I don't know why they would have been theirs would have been a Rhode Island event. I don't know. So, but yeah, there's so much it's been interfering because of the cross sort of filming times and stuff. So the reason I think obviously Vicky's back, I don't think she ever really wanted to be gone. She's just had different partners in her life, etc. But this is a big season for her to be back, and she hates new girls. She's going to be mean to Carmela, and she wants to prove to everyone that she is the OG of the OC.
She's like the big boss. And I hate that. I hate that she's like, I don't like new girls. I'm like, bugger off with your sad mingo energy. Like, honey, you're in your 60s now. It's time to be at least pretending like Heather that you're in your fun era. Like,
Exactly.
she's so chaotic. And I think for me, so now I understand why she's back, but I look at that group of women and I think to myself, Shannon is the cute, doddery, 60 plus, can barely cope on a jumping castle, can't cope with her dogs. I would watch a show with just Shannon and her dogs trying to walk down the street and get a pup cup like any day of the week. I find it so hilarious. I love that she's sober. Well, I'm hoping she's mostly sober. I love that she's single. She's just got Archie and is it Troy? And they're just making her life crazy. It's just adorable to
Did you
see.
see
And
the
I,
opening scene where she's
oh,
walking along the beach in Mexico to Vicky? And I was like, what is that walk? And I was like, and I was like, it looks like she just got off a horse and
yeah.
she's walking along down the beach. Like she's just like a physical comedian as well.
She really is, and she doesn't mean to be. And even last season, she was having all these physical moments like goofy Shannon, kooky Shannon. I'm here for kooky Shannon, and I just feel like kooky Shannon doesn't need kooky Vicky trying to steal her thunder. That's my opinion.
Well, the dark side really though for Shannon is her DUI. And I do think that yeah, I don't know if she's stuck to her sobriety. I actually do think there was a lot of toxicity in the relationship with that guy as well, so she wasn't her best self. Um,
John Jansen.
so I'm hoping, yeah, I hope we can continue to see a fun, lighter side of
I do.
women. And it'd be nice if the Tracer Mikas could get along again, but I just don't know if it's in the cards.
I think Tamara's so done with that. And I feel like, so in previous seasons, I've been like, my God, Tamara is so toxic. And I get that she is, but I also now feel that she is so necessary for this show. I feel like without her, there is no forward momentum with the show. I just think she's essential. She kind of rolls on her own, and she will create allies and then destroy them and create new ones and destroy them. And she really just, I think, sees this whole show as a bit of Game of Thrones to entertain herself. And I actually respect that now.
Yeah, no, I think she is loyal to the show only, right? Because she's got so many different sort of personalities and friendships, but it's exactly that. She will do whatever it takes to make good television, and I think we have to respect her for that. And so, in past where people have tried to create certain loyalties, and we've had these, and that just doesn't mean anything to her. So if it's the time and she needs to say it, and she needs to say it on camera because it needs to keep things moving, she's going to do it. So I think she needs to continue to work on her reactivity, like that part is out of control or can be out of control. And it's funny because I was thinking about Jen, like Jennifer Pedantry. She is just struggling so hard because she's so earnest and she does not understand people saying one thing to one person and another thing to another. And she just, it's like you can see her brain like boiling over. She's like, but you said that behind their back and now you're saying this to this person. So in a way, like she's being a bit of a stirrer as well, but it's actually from a whole different perspective. It's because I just think she's so earnest and she's like, well, don't say that about them. And she struggles with that. Whereas I think Tamara's stirring is less earnest, but a little more aware of what she's doing.
Tamara's is definitely for the show, like you said. And Jen has improved a lot in terms of her ability to strategize and be on the show. But she's still, I agree with you, it's not in Jen's worldview for Heather to bitch about Tamra, but then be nice to Tamra the next day. That just like blows Jen's mind. But at the same time, I'm actually going to stick up for Katie from last season, who I'm really sad. I actually am really sad Katie Janella is not.
I'm so sad that Katie's gone. Like,
Yeah.
so sad.
I loved her family scenes. I found her really interesting. She was so dry and funny. She did not give two shits about Heather Dubrow, which I also loved.
Yes, which
But
I love too.
yeah, she didn't come for her, but she wasn't taking any crap either. And honestly, I didn't like the way that I felt like Jen kind of threw her under the bus to stay on the show, which obviously we won't go into now because it was last season. But I do think Jen is learning the game, but she's still in her own mind, I think, trying to play it in an earnest way.
Be
And
the good
like,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, strategically pairing up with those two, Emily and Jen, having dinner. And I said they're both struggling for relevance, so probably not a bad idea to team up. But, you know, Jen connected with Gretchen last year. And I was actually so happy that Gretchen came back at the start and then just fully downhill from there. Like, I was like, oh, Gretchen, you've not learnt nothing. And so, yeah, it shows that Jen's doesn't have a ton of strategy. But I would have liked to see that trio actually come out on top last season just so we could have kept Katie, but so be it.
I agree. I was excited for Gretchen just to put Tamara in her place and see the fireworks. But when I realized what kind of person Gretchen was, because I hadn't seen her ever before, I was like, oh no, she's got to go. Like she's so hateful as a person. I can't handle that. Talking about Emily, let's move to Emily because I agree. Your note actually is perfect where you said both Jen and Emily are struggling for relevance. Like everything with Jen and her husband is kind of, or husband to be, I find Ryan hilarious, sidebar. His shirts, his general joie de vivre, like he just is living in Ryan's world. He doesn't know what laws he's breaking. He doesn't care if he is. He's just like, I'm just a guy with like loud shirts and a lot of money and I've got this hot chick from the gym. And why does everyone hate me?
Yeah, he belongs on Jersey Shore, like GTL, like Gym Tan Laundry. Like that's, I feel like he's on the wrong show.
That is him. And like, again, you just can't expect Jen and Ryan to be anything other than who they are. Again, don't agree with any of their politics, think they're pretty horrific. But like day to day, they're just like floating along in a bubble. Emily, however, Emily is always trying to find her place on this show. We know that Heather triggers Emily from a mother point of view. We know that Heather triggers Emily because Heather is so slim and Emily, like similar to me, she's bigger boned. She's always had to work out in the gym. Very upset with Heather one season when Heather said she was a soft. The jeans. I mean, that was just ridiculous. But I feel like Emily and Gina, who are sort of like the two pairs normally, they always go together. They're just rerunning really tired storylines at this point. Emily still does nothing. She still just comes on every year and says, I don't know if my marriage is going to work out with my husband. Oh, maybe it's the end. Gina does the same. I don't know if Travis and I can do this. Can I do it forever? I do not care about Travis. I do not care about Emily's husband. Can't even remember his name. Don't find it compelling. Why are they rerunning this for like the 5th time?
I don't know. And I saw something online the other day saying that I think this is both of their 8th full-time season. And so then they were calling out all these incredible housewives that we still talk, like, so they've had more time than Kim Richards. They've had more time than any of the Miami housewives. They've had more time. So you think about someone on Miami who you like, Adriana or Alexia, or people that you actually know a ton about their lives and you're super invested in, and they've had less seasons than Emily and Gina. And so I wouldn't do well casting because like I don't want them to be cut either because I feel bad, but I mean I know everyone prefers Gina, and she just keeps looking better and better. Like I am happy for Gina. Like she just keeps on, you know, it makes me want to not drink again ever either because she just looks so good. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what their storyline is.
Look, I prefer Gina too, and I think it's just because I think she honestly has a kinder heart inside. I think Emily has a lot of bitterness, and I think Emily often is a bully and then kind of tries to, like, she bullied Jen horribly and then now she's like, now I'll be your friend. It's just the kind of test from alpha type women that I really have no time for.
And but Katie, how she went back and did all that digging on Katie, which was disgusting, and to bring it all up at the reunion.
It was horrific what she did to Katie. So, quick catch up. She went and found out all of this information about the lowest time in Katie's life when Katie lost custody of her kids. Emily had no reason or cause to do that, also had no context or understanding of any of that situation. The rest of us still don't. It should have been cut from the reunion.
Yeah,
But
it's all right. It's nobody's business.
nobody's business. But Gina, I feel, is a very effective Greek chorus, as we've talked about before. She doesn't really have anything going on, but she does do great reaction shots. She does. I love that she hasn't really lost any weight. She's not trying to get super skinny. She still wears really bizarre outfits in her confessionals. She's just still with this boring guy. And like, I just love that she reacts to things
It's the
in a
New
more
York in her. It's because I like it was more it was more apparent at the start, and I loved it because she was so New York, which is just upfront and would say things. Everyone's like, "You're not saying that in the OC," and it has chilled a bit. But I do think like she's happy just to say the thing. When everyone's beating around the bush, she'll just say the thing. And so yeah, like you're right. That's the Greek chorus. It's just you need that person.
You do. She's sort of like if you had a devil and an angel, you'd have Tamara being the devil and Gina being the angel. They both move the storylines forward, but
How they
in
do it.
different ways. Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think. But also, can I just say, because it was so horribly apparent, these women are so out of touch. America, everyone is in like a cost of living crisis. And they open the episode with, if you live in the OC, you have so much money. And I was just like, oh, vomit. We don't need to hear that.
But we kind of do because that's what it is, right? It's the escapism of what away from our day-to-day lives. And I think 20 years ago, that's what we were looking for. I just remember, it was 2006 and those gates of like Casa de Coto or whatever that era. And I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever even seen a gated community before. And then they were all in there in the geokino. And so it has that, it's always been that, which is like, show me something that I haven't or will probably never experience in my life. So, yeah, I do love that aspect of it. So, yes, I'm excited that it's back. I'm really interested to see. I think there's discussions about whether they retire it after the 20 years because it has been getting a bit tired. But I guess we'll see where the ladies take it.
Hopefully they can give us something fun. Just retire Vicky. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't vibe with her. All right. Well, moving right along to something that should be retired, okay, is the Valley. And can I just say, like, I've given this show 3 seasons. I have really tried to see everyone's point of view in this show. I've tried to give benefit of the doubt to people. It is so dark. And I watched, I think, 2 or 3 episodes to catch up because we had been away.
I'm
And
so sorry about my camera.
no, that's fine. I love that your camera loves you so much. It zooms in on you constantly. But we had a situation, obviously we've talked about before, and we had a little debate about Janet. But we are now at a stage with this group of friends where you have people that just cannot film a scene, cannot move a storyline along. You have Danny and Nia. Danny is like pretty awful, I'm going to say, like not just for his like ass grabbery, but the way he talks to Nia, the way he has a few drinks and turns mean. Like he's a bad drunk. Like at the end of the day, that man shouldn't drink, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've had friends who were perfectly lovely and super fun, and they would have just one too many drinks and turn really mean. And I cut them off eventually. It took a long time. I made a lot of excuses for them. But at the end of the day, a mean drunk is a mean drunk.
Mhm.
I think Danny and Nia should be off the show. They're not natural. They're actually not friends with this group of people. They have nothing in common with them. They're pretend Christians. Like that, even Nia is starting to come off with this like Christian prairie dress wearing mum vibes. Like, like, oh, we're in exotic Mexico. Like, come on, girl, you're half Mexican. Like,
Yeah, you're Mexican.
it's so weird. And I think, Janet has opened up about a sexual assault that happened when she was 12, which is absolutely awful. And she doesn't feel safe around Danny in general. And that is a point of view that I completely understand. And I think also that is why they should leave the show. Because at the end of the day, like from a HR point of view, if this guy had grabbed cast members butts off camera and everyone was fine with it. That's one thing. I mean, who would be fine with that? But it's actually making women feel at the workplace, which is the cast, unsafe. Why is he still there?
Actually, that reminds me. Have you ever watched Real Housewives of Potomac?
I watched the first season. I do enjoy a bit of Giselle.
A bit of Giselle. So yes,
Mhm.
I think she was the OG representative for theirs on the bus trip. But so there was this really gross guy, Michael, the Australian. I was just like,
Yeah.
why are all the Australian men on these shows so gross? Like they do not represent Australian men. But he was grabbing people's bottoms, like production, I think, like men, camera guy, whatever. Like he was removed from the show. It was really bad. So it's like, why is the same not occurred for Danny? I hadn't thought of that before, but you're right.
Like, why is he still there? And also, he did it to a homosexual couple, so a lesbian couple, Jasmine and Melissa. And I feel like that was deliberate on his part too. Like, it was in his mind, I feel like he didn't think that they would stand up to him or something. It's just, he's
Yeah, because
just
there's no man attached to them, right? So
his mind.
therefore they're more vulnerable.
Yeah. And it's just icky. And I think, like, honestly, seeing the way he speaks to Nia, there was this scene in the most recent episode, which I think is being talked about a bit online, but it made my blood run cold. And I'll describe it to you and see if you had the same feeling, where they're getting ready to go out for the final night in Mexico. Nia
I know
goes,
exactly what you're gonna say.
oh, good. Okay. So this affected you too. And he walks over to her and he's like, when do I get my birthday loving, like sexy time? And she's like, well, I don't know. I've got the baby and then we've got to get up at 6. We've got to go this thing and da-da. And she's like running through the entire mental load that he is just happy for her to manage on her own. And then she's like, so maybe later, I don't know, depends when we get back in. And he's like, make it work. And she just looks at him and he goes, okay. And I was like, oh, I cannot. I am so frightened for her because that Charlie has never, would never. That conversation does not exist in our relationship.
No, no. It was so, because she even said, like, oh, maybe it's delayed for after this trip or whatever. And I was like, oh, you're being very agreeable for someone who's like expecting something of you. Like literally, you have a 4-month-old baby, you have twins, you like exactly the mental load that she's carrying and the way that he said that. And
Oof.
oh
Oof.
yeah, I know it gave me the creeps. I didn't realize it was being discussed online. Yeah, it makes me worry for Nia.
Me too. I feel like he forgot the cameras were there at that point, and just the drop in tone, make it work. Okay. It was so like, that's not how to get someone to have sex with you. And it also makes me just think he believes he's entitled to her body anytime. Yeah, he's got to go. And I think we also saw in the news this week that a former housewife that was a one season on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills a couple of years ago. Her name is Anne-Marie Wiley. She was not a popular showing. And she's married to like a famous sports person in America called Marcellus. And he had had a lot of sexual assault allegations against him. She would stand up for him all the time, say what a fantastic husband and father he was. But just consistently, she would consistently stand up for him. In a similar way, I see that Nia consistently stands up for Danny and defends his behavior or excuses his behavior. And to see now that Anne-Marie has filed for divorce from this man because he was abusing her for over 10 years in this marriage, it just gives me pause. When that news came out, I just felt sick for Anne-Marie, thinking of all the times she had tried to keep herself and her children safe by saying what a great man he was. And I just look at Nia and I'm like, I'm not saying that Danny is Marcellus. I'm saying that there are things that Nia is doing that strike me as self-protective, and that just makes me worry for what her life is going to be in the future.
You know, like I hadn't made that connection between those two cases. Like obviously I saw the stuff about the Beverly Hills couple, and I remember her from that season, and I'm just so very sad for her experience. Oh, anyway, and so, but I hadn't made the link to the Danny Nia, but it is absolutely plausible that she is protecting herself by defending him. And because another thing he said, I think maybe it was in the preview for next week, but when they're talking about having sex again, and he said, why don't we just have another kid? You know, I haven't had the chop yet or whatever. He says it again. And it's like, you don't do anything to help raise these children, and yet you keep asking for something. But it's also this concept of like no means no, and him not understanding that no means no. And she has said no so many times. Like, she just had this other baby because she said, you know, look, her physical appearance is really important to her because she was a beauty queen, and she still goes and judges at, you know, big competitions and trains entrance, etc. So she said to him, like, I'll have this one more baby and then I really sort of need to get back to myself, you know, for work and whatnot. And she's explained it to him over and over, and he just keeps asking for something that she said no to. And even if it's a joke or not, like, like, I'm sick of hearing it. Imagine how she feels.
It's just, I'm sick of hearing it too. And we only see it in an episode once in a while, and she lives with it.
Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting point, Jessie. And I mean, I hope it's not the case, but regardless, I don't think that them being on the show is a great idea. I don't think, you know, they didn't travel out with them. They're not partiers. You know, my heart broke sort of at the end of the episode because I really just thought Nia was, you know, leaning over him and stopping him fighting just to protect him. But when she actually went upstairs and cried, she was like, it's his birthday. Shouldn't he be with me and somebody who loves me? And it's like, yeah, no, he doesn't love you enough for that. He would prefer to be in the limelight and sitting down at a bar by himself talking to the bartenders when none of the rest of the cast wants to be around you, instead of being up with your wife who would do anything for you. But you're so egotistical that this is where you choose to be. And I mean, I will give a balanced side, which is I was a bit with him around the confusion that people won't say it to him. So, you know, Michelle will say openly, he makes me uncomfortable when he drinks. And then he asks her, do you feel uncomfortable when I drink? She's like, no, it's all good. You know, just don't do anything in the future. And it's like, they're all saying, Brittany, oh, no, we don't mind that you drink. It's like, you guys are giving mixed messages. I don't think this conversation should even be happening. He should have just accepted it last season, and we shouldn't. He keeps bringing it up.
Yes.
But at the same time, I understand that they're so sick of having to say it to him and have the conflict that they're now no longer saying it with their full chest, and now he's confused, which is BS.
Which he shouldn't be, right? He shouldn't be confused. But I agree with you. There's mixed messages going around, and I feel like, but instead of, and again, this is where I sort of come down on the side of the group. If that were happening to me, when I thought the conversation Danny had with Michelle was really instructive to watch, and I was proud of Michelle because she did ultimately, she said, no, I'm not uncomfortable around you. However, when you drink, you do things that make us feel uncomfortable. And he's like, but what? And she's like, the thing that you did.
Yes,
and he knows that means the thing he did with Jasmine and Melissa. She's not bringing it up again on camera out of respect to them, but she's very clearly saying to him, because of the thing you did. And he's like, but Jessie drinks. And she's like, Jessie did not do the thing that you did. So if he can't compute, instead of accepting that, you just see him kind of re-victimize himself and say, but, it's like, stop trying to debate this. Stop trying to bargain with her that you didn't do this thing and this is the consequence. This is what it is. She's told you straight up, mate. And if you cared, you would go genuinely and gently to every person and apologize again and say, now that I'm filming, do you know what? I'm just not going to drink while we're filming. Even if you believe you're not abusing alcohol or it doesn't turn you mean or any of those things, just say, for the good of the group, that's the commitment I'm going to make. But instead of doing that, he's not sincere. He's drinking on the sly, and when he's drinking openly, he is a mean drunk. I don't like the way that he is. He gets angry.
Drunk. And I think the fact that he's unable to stop just for filming says something, you know, so.
I agree. The fact that he couldn't stop drinking and go upstairs with his clearly overwrought, exhausted and upset wife says a lot.
Yeah, it says a lot. Oh, it's so sad. And I feel as though, again, they feel really resentful that it's still a storyline, but it's like, you are the guy, you keep bringing it up. You are the ones who keep perpetuating this being a story. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think there needs to be a definite recast with this group. Again, I'm loving Lala. I think the way she delicately handled Janet was beautiful. I think the way she, is trying not to be triggered by Danny, but is. Yeah, I think Lala is showing up well. So that's a bit of a surprise.
Lala's showing up and doing her job, which in fairness to Lala, she's always done. So, and like Tamra, I mean, Lala is another Tamra. She's there to get the job done. I think part of the problem with this show, other than the casting, I do think Danny and Nia should be retired. I think Jason and Janet would work very well as friends of, where Janet gets to come and make a few dry jokes and not be so emotionally part of these things, because I think Janet, unlike Jen Pedranti from the OC, like they've both been through the fire, but Jen has turned it. Jen is committed to being a reality star. Janet, it's not for Janet. Janet works best when she's sledging Jessie a little bit, when she's like making jokes to Zach. I really enjoy that part of Janet. I don't like the part of Janet that is lusting over Michelle because I think it's just they're too close of friends to be doing that. Although Michelle is gorgeous.
Michelle is stunning.
She's so stunning. She is really beautiful. But Alex,
I loved that conversation between her and Lacey. That was so beautiful, because she's like, I don't still love him, but I'm seeing something, you get something that I didn't have that I really wanted, and that's hurting me. And I just feel like Lacey is so beautiful in how she's managing it, where she's like, she's having Jesse's back because that's the reason she's there. But at the same time, she will hold him accountable when he's, on the wrong side. And she's like, if you speak about another woman like that in front of me, like, anyway, I've been quite impressed with Lacey as well, and the way that she's managing Michelle's understandable emotions.
I think Michelle's emotions are utterly understandable, but I'm sorry, and I like Michelle a lot. Part of me thinks toughen up. You had a boyfriend
That's
last
Jesse's view. He's like, well, you didn't have any problems when you were bringing your boyfriend around last year. But I liked Lacey's view, which is like, her feelings are her feelings. Like, you can say that it's, it's whatever, but they're her feelings. So let's deal with what we're working with here. So yeah,
No, it's interesting, and I'm happy that you're giving me this point of view, because I really like Lacey too, and I thought she's very patient with Michelle. I just don't think it's Jessie and Lacey's problem to manage. It's Michelle's problem to manage. And again, look, I don't. Jessie is usually on the wrong side of everything, so thank God Lacey is there to check him. Although that's ridiculous that she has to do that, and she should just dump him. I mean, he brings nothing to the table. He's sort of comedic, but we have Tom Schwartz for that. If we want like a broke, sad man, we have Tom Schwartz. Sorry.
Tom, exactly.
And he's kind of sweeter and goofier. I think Lacey's being really understanding and patient. I think she's more emotionally evolved than the rest of the cast, but I do think that it's Michelle's problem to manage. I understand that it makes her feel less than, and she's grieving something. I really actually loved the scene a few weeks ago when she and Jessie signed the papers and she cried and they walked away sort of hugging. I thought that was
arm in arm, and it was lovely.
Yeah,
and it really is her issue, right? So she's mourning, something that's lost and something that she won't have again. But she was the one that, initiated the separation and all of the things. So it is absolutely on her. But I think, whilst she's doing that, it can't go on forever. But rather than her just being hostile to them, she's actually saying, like, if I'm showing up a certain way, this is why, which I think would be so embarrassing to say in a way, given that she's always been so down on Jessie. So if she's going to be vulnerable enough to say it, I love that Lacey was big enough to hear it, and not just throw it back in her face, which she, like you say, she's entitled to do, but she didn't.
Oh, no. I don't think she's entitled to throw it back in her face. And if I was in Lacey's position, I would be very understanding as well. But I just think that Michelle needs to realise that it is something that she's going to have to manage internally, and she can't expect Jessie and Lacey to manage it for her. And Lacey, being a mum, I think was all too happy to manage it for her and has gone to Jessie and said, just back it off a bit. And I agree with that too. Like, it costs them nothing to do this nice thing. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do that, but I guess if I was in Michelle's position, it's not something I would bring to them. In
Yeah.
saying that, I just wouldn't. I'd keep it to myself. But I actually want can Lacey just dump Jessie and just Lacey and Michelle will be great friends because I feel like that's the trajectory we're heading in and I'm so here for it.
Yeah, and if that's what we're recasting, that's what we should be doing because I think the story around Lacey is that she actually interviewed for OC, Real Housewives of Orange County, several times and hasn't made it on. And so she is really keen on a career in reality. And I think Jessie's her ticket for that right now, which is probably why she's being so patient with him. But yeah, if we could get her a role independent of Jessie, I think that would be, yeah, that would be good for the cast because she's definitely more evolved.
She is, and she brings a level of calmness. Like, get rid of Jessie, get rid of Nia and Danny, put who have we got? Jason and Janet to friends of, keep Brittany, keep Kristen, keep Michelle. She's coming up. She's just blossoming, and I'm really loving Michelle this season. I don't like the fact that we know she's dating Dr. Dre. I think that's really dangerous. But if we're just putting that aside, I'm loving Michelle this season. I just think she's
Yeah, she
really
softened up so much. She was just an absolute ice queen previously, and it was so hard to get to know her. This has been lovely.
and just the stuff with her parents and her mum, like it just my heart goes out to her. And she's half Iranian or Persian. I really can relate to that too. No, like the show has potential, and this is where I get upset is that the producer Alex Baskin, I think he is forcing these conflicts and forgetting all the fun. And I'm so over these one-on-one conversations. Like, here's Jessie going to talk to Kristen in a very unnatural way to tell her Luke doesn't want to marry her. Like, stop forcing this. Like, just let these friendships happen. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the Valley goes. I have no idea.
Yeah, ditto. But yeah, interesting few episodes. Just a lot of dark things being covered. And so
Yes.
yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so that's the valley, from the valley to the city. Um, a little quick chat on the city. So there's a couple of episodes that we haven't discussed. We obviously had the wedding or the civil ceremony dinner.
Your civil ceremony celebration. Lindsay, that was my wedding.
Lindsay,
Whatever.
that was so shady. We had
Love
that,
it.
and then we've obviously had the Friendsgiving trip that we haven't really discussed.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say so. I'm gonna be saying a few things within the city, and I think, like, I just feel like I'm gonna regret saying these things. Why am I starting to find Kenny attractive,
Oh
Thirsty
my God.
Kenny? Why is he
That's
suddenly looking
okay.
quite, like, handsome and funny to me? I I need to go to therapy because he's a narcissist, and I don't know why he's appealing to me right.
It's because he trauma shared with Lindsay about his mum and childhood issues, and he showed
Yeah.
some level of vulnerability. You love a man that needs to be fixed.
I am a fixer. I love him. I love a sensitive man that can talk about his feelings that needs fixing, but also, like, he's got that nice grey touch to his hair. He's got a beautiful face. Also,
He is
again,
gorgeous.
he's gorgeous, thirsty as F, but and this is going to be really bad too, and I may regret this, but I can sense chemistry between him and Lindsay, like serious chemistry.
Stop it. I was listening to a podcast and somebody said the same thing. And
Really?
yes, and it had not occurred to me. And then after I was like, yes, I could see chemistry with the two of them, which would be a disaster, I think. Like, like I have this relationship theory where in every relationship there should be someone who's salt and someone who's spice, or not even that you should be salt and spice. It's just how it tends to work out. So, whereas I think they are both spice, so it would be very, very fiery.
So
Um,
is Salt, in your theory, is Salt the calmer, the Whitney type of
yeah,
person,
so it's
and
like
Spice
salt
is
of
the
the earth, grounded. I consider myself like spice. And so you might fire up quickly, you've got a bit of a spicy personality, you might be a little bit cuckoo, all things that apply to me. And I think, my husband is very much salt of the earth. It takes us to, I bring the spice, and I actually think his whole family is salt. And you look at all the people that they've married, and they've married spice. Like his mum has married his dad, who is a bit more spice. His sister has married spice. So I got drunk at a wedding once and went around and told them all. And I was like, you need our spices to have fun. So I mean, it is a theory that, but I have one friendship in our friendship group, because in our friendship group there's 8 families, but I can always pick the salt and spice, but there's one couple who are both spice, and they're both always trying to like fight to be the alpha in a sense. Like, it's quite funny, but
They're fighting to be the main character in that
yes,
relationship.
and they are both the main character, and it's amazing.
Does it work? Does it work for them?
Well, it is working for them, but I would say it's more difficult, right? Like, you've got to, so it's probably more fun, but also more difficult. And so if I think of Kenny and Lindsay, I'm sure it would be a great time.
I'm shipping them. I've left Carl behind. I know he's the salt and Lindsay's the spice, but Kenny's hot. Kenny's hot. He's making good TV. I know I called him thirsty. I'm really coming around after he met his dad. May have shed a tear. Can really see him and Lindsay together. I think they would have amazing sex, and I think that can sustain a relationship for a really long time. But I also think he reacted to her so strongly because she intellectually fires him up. And we know from what Kenny has been saying, and Gavin even pointed it out, he's like, you want someone to give it to you a little bit. Like, Kenny likes that. And Whitney is beautiful. Whitney is sweet and has a kind heart and is a lovely lady, but she's not doing that for Kenny.
No, she's not even salt. She's like sort of, well, it's another mean thing I say. I won't say it.
No, she's a lovely soul, and they're flavouring it.
Chicken, right? Like, it's good for you and you eat it, but where's the flavour? Anyway.
She's so stunning though. My God, her bone structure is to die for. But yeah, I can see. So I was loving In the City, doing a couple of episodes back to back. The contrast between the city and the valley was so different. I was so depressed watching the valley, and I was so excited watching In the City.
But did you regret considering wearing white to your mother's wedding after seeing Danielle's dress?
Look, I would never have done it.
You were just thinking about it. You weren't going to do it.
Girl, I was just thinking about it. I wasn't going to do it. If you hadn't told me, I probably would have done it. No, I'm happy I didn't. I think you and I think we nailed our outfits, and also so did Mum. But watching Danielle, I cannot believe she wore that dress to this wedding. I don't know. I know she sent the photo beforehand, but I think someone said to her, and I agree, like, if you have to send the photo to check, then...
She only sent the photo because she knew she was guilty and she was doing it. Like, you don't send a photo. Like, if you have to send a photo, don't wear it, right?
No.
Like, the end.
And the end. And also, like, and this is why I often end up in dark colours for weddings. Like, when I was bridesmaid for my best friend Brooke, I wore like a dark... Hey, shout out. I wore a dark charcoal dress, which initially she was like, oh, but then in the photo she's like, I see why you did that, because actually it made her pop even more. And, you know, for my friend Mandy's wedding, I wore a black dress. For Mum's wedding, I wore a black dress. And it's not that I'm like doing funeral chic or anything at weddings, but I do think if you, like, I'm a main character type person, I would call myself the spice. And it's not about you on that day. So tamp it down.
No.
I have a little story to share about someone who did wear a white dress, white adjacent to a wedding. And it was not me, Sophia. It was not me.
Okay, good to know.
So I went to a wedding, and oh my God, the person whose wedding this is going to kill me if they listen to it. But I don't think they listen to the podcast. So on your own head be it if you do listen to it.
Yeah, that's their problem then. Talk away.
So we went to this wedding, and the request from the people getting married was wear something completely outrageous. Like, they wanted like a Paris Fashion Week vibe, get very excited. So of course I found like a purple sequin halter neck dress, sent it to the person. They were like, that's exactly it. I was like, great. And then I remember I was talking to one of the other members of the bridal party, and I was like, oh, what have you got? And they said, oh, this little lemon number, and sent me a photo. Friends, girl, I love you. That was not lemon. That was white. That was white. Now, it didn't matter because on the other side of the wedding party, there was someone really dressed up in like a white full tail tux with a black shirt, and like, so it was all very like camp and fashion week and all of that. However, everyone the thing is, even though it was fine for the people getting married, people still look at you funny. They can't help.
Exactly.
And so why do it to yourself? Because then everyone at that wedding was like, oh, why did that person wear that? And I'm like, oh, you could have saved yourself all this trouble.
Exactly. It is. It draws attention. And again, like a little lemon number, you know that's going to present as white. And so, but it's funny because I sit here like in judgment, and yet I have also somewhat been on the other side of this because I know. So what? So there's, you have those photo things, and so we've got one where all the photos go past in the kitchen, and this photo comes up of Sean and I like years and years ago, and I'm wearing like this boob tube white dress that has like a black sash, and my girls are like, oh, where was that photo? I was like, oh, girls, that was before you were born. It was a wedding in Adelaide, and both the girls went, you wore
Sophia.
a white dress to somebody's wedding? And I was like, oh. And then I remember she's really good friends of ours, and it was the best wedding because it was a surprise wedding. So we all flew from all over the, wherever, and it was an engagement party, and they had it set up as an engagement party, and they took us all out the front to do a group photo, and while we were at the front, they completely transformed the back and an aisle. It was magic. And so I said to the girls, actually it was a surprise wedding, so I didn't know it was going to be a wedding. But then my girls were like, but should you wear white to an engagement party? And I was like, no.
That was my fault.
So I'm like, why
Like,
did
you
I
still
wear
wear
white
white.
to an engagement
No.
party?
Why were you wearing a boob tube to an engagement party, but
know.
also a white boob
I
tube?
know, it was quite elegant. It had like like it had flowers that sat above and whatever, but it was quite pretty. But I do remember that night finding like a prawn tail in one of the flowers when I got home, and I look back now, I'm like, that was karma. I was like ruining my own dress for wearing a white dress to an engagement party.
I love it.
I must have been young.
No, I know. It's Danielle. I don't know what she was thinking. She knew, you're going to cop heat for that. And can I also just say, I was really appreciating Yvonne at the Friendsgiving because Lindsay lost her mind at that civil ceremony celebration. I can't say it properly. She did lose her mind. It was absolutely disgraceful. I am completely on the bride's side with this. And normally I'm like, stop being a bridezilla. It's ridiculous. It's your third wedding. But it honestly was really sad to watch Yvonne just get more and more deflated while Lindsay went nuts at this.
Got more and more activated, and to watch the husband too. He tried to tell everyone to cut it out, then he tried to make a joke, and I also just think it was the money of it too. So it wasn't just that, Yvonne had lost her job. I think they probably committed to doing this thing. It looked Michelin star. It would have been so expensive, and to have people not appreciate it. Yeah,
I know. Table scale was beautiful. She'd put so much effort in. It really broke my heart a little bit. And then at the Friendsgiving, when they went off to talk about it, and I again appreciated Yvonne here, because if Yvonne had gotten activated in this conversation, they wouldn't be friends. And it's part of why you don't bring your closest friends onto reality TV, because at that wedding celebration dinner, which meant a lot to Yvonne and Nick, Lindsay was creating good TV, and I respect that. But Yvonne didn't feel that way. And then when they get to talk about it, Lindsay is honestly like, I don't know what your problem is. And she was extremely defensive.
I was like shitting my pants. Like, I know it's terrible, but I was freaking out because it was like a standoff, and it was so clear to me that Lindsay should apologize. But Lindsay was like, for what? For what? And so I was like, oh, this is how it starts on reality TV. It'll be something small that two people can't get over, and it creates a crack, and then it's 10 years later and it's never the same. And I was like, no, because they've been friends for so long. I'm like, I don't want this to happen to you. But thank God, because like even Lindsay like yelled her apology too. She was like, well, I'm sorry if I wasn't the best friend that you needed. But I was like, but Yvonne just was like, thank you for saying it. Done. I just needed you to know that you weren't what I needed in that moment. And also, I'm sorry that you were having such a rough time of it that night. And I was like, phew. My heart would break if they couldn't have got over it.
I know. I just hope Lindsay has thought about it since, because I watched Yvonne listening to her getting activated, being defensive, saying all the wrong things. And Yvonne just looked at her, and I was like, oh, Yvonne loves her.
Yes,
of
love.
actually loves her, because if she didn't, this would have been over in a second. And I was really proud that Yvonne was like, "All right, I've gotten close enough to the apology. I don't need to make you, crawl through the dirt to me. If that's the best you can do, I love Lindsay. I'm going to call it here." And my God, that was emotionally mature to me. I mad respect to Yvonne for managing that situation.
Yes, very, 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 very good. And yeah, but you know what? They're at risk because they're on a reality TV show. So, and that's
You know what? Also, you're at risk because the thing you did was fuck up someone's wedding. And at the end of the day, even if it's the third wedding, it doesn't matter. There are things that hang around with women's friendships, and wedding stuff can be very hard for people to let go of at times. Like,
yeah.
you
And I
know,
feel like it wasn't Lindsay's fault, but Lindsay just needed to say, I'm so sorry that all of that went down. Like, I'm so sorry that I was like, it wasn't like she did it, but it's like she wouldn't even acknowledge it. And then when she started calling it a civil ceremony celebration, whatever, like it was just super shady. And you
it
don't,
was
yeah,
petty. It's so petty to call it that.
petty.
Can
Yeah,
we have
you don't do that to your best friend.
no? Can we have a moment for Andreas and his abs and the fact
Yes.
that it
And him
was his
standing up for
idea.
marriage.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it was his idea to give, the nice sweet to Yvonne and what's his face, and then
Wait, so this is
oh,
interesting. There's background information, and Yvonne has spoken to it as well. But apparently, because Kenny and Lindsay apparently went down in the same car, he was saying in the car to Lindsay, because we planned the trip, we should be able to have first go at rooms. Then when he gets there and says to Yvonne, "Oh, you should have the first," Lindsay's like, "I was not aware of that plan." So he's told two people, and so then the other friend, the doctor, she was like, "We had already been in that room. I'd already unpacked." So she's like,
yeah,
"I would have been happy with that, but that is not what we discussed in the car." And he's totally flipped it, and what a great gesture, but it had not been. And I was like, that was
so Kenny.
so, yeah, Kenny. He's
So
sneaky.
my boy Kenny, my
Oh God, you
thirsty
love him now. Love the
no,
villain.
honestly, it was so diabolical of him, and, like, I kinda loved it, but I also am not that interested when people fight over him, so I was happy to move on from that quickly. But Andreas is so sweet, and I loved that he was trying to explain things to Kyle. Again, Kyle simply will not hear the truth that your partying is extremely destructive to a marriage. It doesn't matter if Amanda has some weed of a night time. That has nothing to do with a fully functioning alcoholic. And also, I have to say, because, like, I'm not Amanda's biggest fan by any means, but my God, when she had to get up and leave the table because Kyle was getting angry and she couldn't breathe, I understand that. Like, love my dad, love my mom, love my family, but we grew up in a really highly conflictual environment, is what I like to say. But basically, it means there was a lot of anger and a lot of fighting, and I couldn't breathe either. And so when she did that, I was like, that's genuine. And his anger is also a danger and needs to get under control.
He needs to, his reactivity. I barely have the energy because, again, all of the discourse online is still so pro Kyle. And, they're like, you can tell, like, he just loves her so much more than she loves him. And, you can tell that she's checked. I'm like, yeah, because she's more lovable. It's because he has been cheating on her. He has been doing all of these things. And now that she has checked out, and she's been checked out for a while, everyone's like, look, poor Kyle. He still loves her. He wants to make it work. You can tell she doesn't want to make it. She's terrible. Oh, she must have already been thinking about West. And I'm just like, where is all of our short-term memories coming from? Like, we've known these people for 10 years and you're remembering the last 6 months only.
Just think about the level of misogyny it takes to watch a man be a terrible partner to a woman for 10 years, to the point where she has to move out by telling him that they're still together. Let's just think about that for a minute. She was frightened to tell him she's leaving, so she told him they're still together until she could get out. Are we surprised that she fell into the arms of another manipulator who gave her a soft place to fall? No. Why are we blaming her for leaving a man that was not a good husband or partner to her? Like,
Yeah, the
like you said,
concept. I mean,
we've
I even just was listening to
years.
something the other day. People were like, well, she could have gone out with him more. Like, she could have done this and she could have done. And it's like, Andrea's saying, they got married. You have to give certain things up. And he was never, ever prepared to do that. So, but anyway,
Kyle, please just be single and enjoy your frozen drinks. I love that.
we love single Kyle. He's out. He's hooking up with people from Next Gen NYC. He's hooking up with, apparently in the ad for the next city, and I didn't see this. She says, Amanda says to Kyle, should we go on a double date, you and West, me and Sally? And I was like, that would be amazing. So but I didn't actually see it, but I saw it sort of written somewhere. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
I'm just loving In the City. I apparently online people are not into it, but I'm so into it. Like, are you enjoying it, or is it just me that is suddenly very invested in these people?
I'm really enjoying it because there's just like Lindsay makes great television. Obviously, there's the whole like Summer House aftershocks and then the Kenny of it all. Like I think it is good television, and like you say, not so dark. And so, I mean, that it's still season 1, so we will see. And I do think it's interesting because it looks like Kyle and Carl and Lindsay are all going to be back on Summer House, where the intention was for them not to be in it, to be the city. So how will we sustain 2 full shows with the same group of people? I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see.
To wait and see. Final thoughts. Love a bit of Gavin, by the way. Again, he's like Tamara for me. He's a messy Betty, and I love it. I think he's also in love with Lindsay. So I think he and Kenny are going to have a breakup because they've been like a little couple together, best friend. It is, no, or just anything. I think it's rife for explosives. So we'll wait and we'll see. But I'm very excited.
Yes, I agree. I love it. He stirs the pot, and I love it.
And he activates Kenny. Oh, God, Kenny is such a nightmare.
Oh my God, you're in love. You
I'm
can't
not.
stop thinking about Kenny.
I can't think about Kenny. It's just that I hate him so much.
And Kenny sitting in a tree.
There's this like weird turnaround where I'm like, I'm sorry, Whitney. It's time for you to find someone else. We need 2 narcissists to be together, and that is Kenny and Lindsay. I want to see the fireworks.
We need it in our life.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from In the City, I was trying to convince you that we need to talk about Next Gen NYC, and I know you haven't watched it yet. And I was just watching it, and so the ratings for Next Gen NYC season 1 were better than like any Housewives. It has this huge audience and following already that they're looking at doing a London version. They're looking at doing a LA version. And so I just thought, Jessie, please let me just take you through just who the cast is, so then you can think about whether you would give watching it a crack.
Okay, it sounds okay. I'm very excited. Please give me the break.
You have no choice, and your arm is twisted behind your back. Okay, I can't get over who. So the premise is that all of us who love the Real Housewives and those, but who are the up and coming younger generation, and a lot of the Housewives kids, because like we know, we've now had 20 years of Housewives, have come of age, I guess, in front of our eyes. And it's like, well, what are they up to now? And it's actually really interesting because the most obvious example of that for me was Gia from Housewives of New Jersey. So she's Teresa Giudice's daughter, eldest daughter. She's been through a lot because Teresa and her husband Joe both go to prison, and Gia's the eldest daughter. Teresa and her brother Joe have a lot of conflict, but they really love each other. But Gia, from a little girl, grew up into a woman and starts like engaging with the adult drama on that show, and I hated it. I was like, Gia, you're a kid. I don't want you talking terrible things about your auntie on this show, because then she's saying negative things about her auntie, Melissa, all of this stuff. And so I love when they sort of created this format for somewhere where the kids can show up and be adults, but I don't want them like encroaching on the next generation's drama. So it all revolves around, in my opinion, Ariana Bierman. And so Ariana is the daughter of Kim Zolciak. And I love that you've watched season 1 Atlanta.
Yes, Big Papa.
Yeah, it is gold. It is where we found Nene Leakes. It's where we found Candy Burris. It's where we found Kim Zolciak.
And She by Cherie.
Yeah, remember? She by Cherie, Phaedra, all of, like it was gold. So the same as Kim. Kim has got this just X factor. So does Ariana. Ariana is just everyone wants to talk to her, look at her, and she is so grounded. Like, so when she first comes into season 1, basically all of the influencing she'd done since she was a kid, her mum was holding that money in a bank account, and then Kim just went and spent it all because she and Croy lost all their money. She took her daughter's money. Ariana's been supporting her mother. Her mother's still like drinking this really expensive red wine. And like Ariana is just like, oh, I'm not cross with her. And yeah, I lend her money and whatever. And I was just like, this mother who's like this loosey goosey, crazy woman has created this like really hardworking, down to earth daughter who's so different to her, but also really similar in the same X factor way. Anyway, so Ariana's moving from Atlanta to New York for this. She's there with her boyfriend, but they've broken up now, Hudson. And this Hudson is a billionaire. His parents own some fast food empire called Zaxby's, which I've not heard of. So they've been dating for like since they were 14 or something. So they've been together on and off for 10 years. The start of this season, she's broken up with him because I think he's just not showing a lot of motivation, and she's got quite big aspirations. But there was sort of debate, was it a fake breakup? But I think it's real from her, and I think he still wants her and expects them to get back together.
Yeah.
And then we have Riley Burris. So Riley is, as I just mentioned before, Candy from The Real Housewives of Atlanta, her daughter. And so Candy, so I had to write this down. So Candy was originally a part of Escape, which was like a girls R&B group back in the day. But she's got writing credits on Destiny's Child's Bills, Bills, Bills. She's written songs for Pink, Ariana Grande, Ed Sheeran. She's had her own reality show. She won Masked Singer. So like Riley's mum, Candy, is a big deal in Atlanta. And then Riley has just graduated from NYC and is looking for a graduate program. And we see her on Atlanta too as a little girl growing up.
Can I just say, I like with that season 1 of Atlanta, which was so epic, but I have seen Candy on other things, and I was always so impressed by her forging that musical career like on her own. And she's just so clever that she can like come up with these incredible songs. Also, can I say, baby Sofie, you would have been impressed by her because you love a bit of R&B as well.
I did. And so like just the idea that she was from Escape, I was like, oh my gosh. But it's funny because they are rich, honey, rich. So like they were having an argument in season 1 because Riley has a $14,000 a month credit card limit and she just keeps completely exceeding it. And Candy's like, well, come on, girl. But she just keeps like paying for the bar tab at the end of the night. And but yeah, it's interesting because there's a bunch of the kids who are from Real Housewives, and then there's kids who've got like genuine celebrity parents. And I think that there was a bit of a hierarchy coming in with the kids with the celebrity parents thought that the reality kids were, lower class, but not Riley, because Riley's mum was Candy. And while she was in Housewives, she was getting a bit more credibility. But it's just funny because I think Ariana's actually the biggest star out of all of them, and her mum's the biggest mess. So it's like, again, don't judge a book by its cover.
No. Okay. But who are the kids of the real celebrities? Look at me just being classist right now. I'm like, okay, but who are the real celebrities?
All right. So we'll just quickly say the other 2 Real Housewives kids are Gia, who I was talking about early, Teresa's daughter, and then we've got Brooks Marks, who's Meredith Marks from Salt Lake City's kids. So you get a little bit of those mums in the show, bit of Meredith Marks, bit of Teresa, bit of Candy. So that's quite fun. A bit of Kim. But then we've got Ava Dash. What a name, Ava Dash. But Ava is the daughter of Damon Dash, who was the co-founder of Rockefeller Records. So he co-founded Rockefeller with Jay-Z. So this is like literal New York royalty. And her mum is Rachel Roy, the designer. I think most people will have heard of Rachel Roy. So that is New York royalty. And Rachel Roy is also rumored to be Becky with the good hair. So from Beyonce's Lemonade album, Becky with the good hair, I think it is Rachel Roy, which is crazy, right? Because that means, because Jay-Z not only cheated on Beyonce, but it's like with his
Co-founder.
like
Why?
ex-wife. I think they were separated, but either way, right? Like you don't go there.
She does have great hair, though, I'm not gonna lie.
With the good
Like,
hair.
Becky has some great hair also, like, oh my god, I feel like Jay-Z's cheated on Beyonce with everybody.
I think it's going to be another, like, the Mormon Wives, Michaela story, because actually I think he's like a solid 10 years older than Beyonce and was with her from when she was really young. So, and I don't think she's ever been with anybody else.
Oh,
So,
it's so, what's the word? It's so culty to do that, isn't it? It's like what Tommy Mottola tried to do with Mariah Carey, and then she
yes.
escaped, you know?
And then like, well, and then the Celine Dion of it all. And so I think this is, I think eventually she will have to get herself out of this situation where she's putting up with these things. But yeah, they're so obviously private. And then, okay, then we've got Amira. So Amira is a beauty creator, former Paper Magazine beauty director, but she is probably one of the most successful, like, online. She's a beauty influencer, etc. She's actually trans, and she is the most beautiful woman you will see. And so she doesn't come from anything. And actually, her storyline's a little bit difficult too, because I think she pays for a lot of stuff for her parents, her siblings, etc. So she feels a lot of pressure, and she doesn't have that backup money. And similarly, there's another character called Georgia who is just very quirky and strange, but is like a proper hustler. So she works very middle class, works through New York, but then, throwing all the fabulous parties in Manhattan as a party planner, knows everybody, but refuses to wash her hands when she goes to the toilet.
Okay, no, I can't deal with her.
And now we're starting a cleaning thing. Anyway, she's
I know.
really, really, she's very
I wash
strange.
my all the time. What is that woman doing? Anyway, I can't deal with that, but, like, I was very excited initially. She does sound like a hustler.
Yeah, she is a hustler, but yeah, and then, like, so her breakdown of relationship with Riley is basically because Riley can't handle that she won't wash her hands, and so it's so unserious,
Yeah,
which is
it is.
lovely. Um,
Yes.
then so it's just two other people. Gonna try and wrap it up, but there's this other character called Charlie Zakor. So he is, like, essentially, if you watched, they say he's like the Chuck Bass. But so knows everyone, whatever. This season, nobody likes him, but he's a crypto guy, comes from a lot of money. If you remember when those New Yorkers tortured those crypto, tortured those guys in that unit in NYC, he was in that unit with them when they got arrested. So he wasn't there for the torture, but he's sort of just connected to everything in the weirdest way. They kind of done with
Also,
him at the minute.
like, it's very unsavory to even be associated with those people. Like, I just don't trust that
Yeah, so
situation.
what were you doing there? And that's the thing. I think there's a few of them, particularly like Brooks, are trying to get him out of the picture now because it's like it's unsavory. They've just had Rowan Henchy join, who's Brooke Shields' daughter. So we haven't seen a lot of her yet, but we just got to see Brooke Shields in the most recent episode, which was fabulous, and she was fabulous.
Love-
And then the final person I'll mention is this guy. So Liam Obergefell. I don't even know who he is, but he looks like a Culkin. Like the Culkin brothers. He looks like one of them, but, like, really very handsome. And he has, like, a million hobbies. He was like a Nickelodeon kid actor. Now he rides horses, and he's a firefighter, and he plays, like, in 3 different hockey teams. And he is really cute, and he wants Ariana. And Hudson is saying no, which is none of Hudson's
Ooh.
business. But anyway, so I just wanted to say, like, if you're not watching it, there's a lot more, but I think it's a really fun young cast. It's obviously got lots of threads back to Real Housewives, but it's very fresh. And again, it's all New York City, so that is always a character in itself.
I was going to say I love stuff set in New York City, obviously, and I do think I need to give this a go because I think, like, at some point, like, we're going to lose the housewives because they're just going to age out of it, and we've got to sort of get attached to the next wave.
Exactly.
But what
What's next?
worries Yeah, it just worries me, though, that you see these young kids come into reality TV and then that's their whole life, and I wonder if it just stunts the life they would have had. But anyway, I'm definitely going to give it a go so we can have a chat about that. I know we've been talking for ages, so maybe we should move on to our distractions this week.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's time for us to move on to our distractions. So, Jessie, what was distracting you this week?
Well, obviously, I'm going to be quick with this. It was my birthday yesterday, Mum. You forgot. Charlie had to text you and remind you. And then she replied to Charlie and said, "Happy birthday" to Charlie. I was just like,
Listen, she's on her honeymoon. Leave her alone. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know. But it's me. I can't remember anyone's birthday. So, like, you told me the day before, it's my birthday tomorrow. And then, like, you even texted me first thing in the morning, and I still didn't. I didn't remember until today. And people ask me my kids' birthdays, and I have to really think about it. Some people, birthdays just don't mean, like, it's not they don't mean anything. It's like they don't stay in your brain.
no, like I get it. I'm that same person. And also, I can never remember your birthday because you have two, but also, like, she's my mum. But as we said at the top of this episode, realizing that your mum is just a person and maybe that your birthday is not top of mind for her is fine. But what I will say is, I had a beautiful day because um, Charlie booked me into the Peppers Launceston day spa and I had a full hour massage and a full hour facial and I honestly just never wanted to leave it. And this is not an ad for them, but just to say that if you're a stressed mom, if you're a stressed woman, you don't even have to be mom, if you're a stressed man, like, go and find yourself a place to get a full body massage. It is so rejuvenating. A lot of places also, you don't have to go to a day spa. Find a place that will accept your private health and then it won't
Mm.
cost you so much. But it is just so good for your body. So
Where's
that's
the
why
Peppers in Launceston?
it's like across the river from Stillwater.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Peppers.
I know. Next time you come, we can go together. They also have one where you can get like couples massage. I know we're not a couple, but you have your own table, but you're in the same room. We can just keep chatting.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. That sounds lovely. And then what'd you do for tea?
We were going to go out to this wine bar called Havilah, but I got too tired. I have a chronic illness. And the day spa really did me in. How ridiculous does that sound? So Charlie was like, "Do you just want to curl up and watch a movie?" And he went and got this beautiful Thai food takeaway, which was just
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. That is perfect. Listen, I don't have a chronic illness and I can only do one thing a day. So I wouldn't be able to go out and do that and then also do dinner. So
I know.
the
It
dream
was
would be a TV show, not a movie, on the couch.
oh
Well, happy birthday, Jessie. And
yeah.
I think that's a very good distraction. And because I'm a basic B, what has been distracting me is Taylor Swift's wedding. So I'm a big Swiftie and I was so excited. In fact, your new sister even put it in the wedding speech that that it was, we're at the wedding on the same day as Taylor Swift. So very, very excited with that. And she just gave us so much because whilst giving us so little, and there's still so much to come. But it was the rehearsal dinner. So the actual wedding, there's rumored to be like 1,000 people that went. And then the night before, there was a rehearsal dinner with like 100 people. So just getting to see who was arriving with who. So like the first night, Jack Antonoff showed up and he didn't have Margaret Qualley with him. And I was like, what's that about, right? And then because Lena Dunham, who's Jack Antonoff's ex, she was giving the wedding speech, and then but there was also rumors because there's videos of Margaret Qualley fully snubbing Taylor Swift at an awards ceremony once, so it's like, well, there's no love lost between them. But now it's subsequently come out that Margaret and Jack have split, and I love Margaret because did you ever watch The Maid?
No, but I love that she's Andy McDowell's daughter. I think she's beautiful.
She's so beautiful. Andy McDowell's daughter. And anyway, she did this series called The Maid. And I thought there was going to be a follow-up, but there wasn't. We all know how I feel about that. If you haven't watched The Maid, Jessie, you've got to watch it. It is so good.
All right.
So then there was all of that. And then obviously the outfits, predicting what it was going to be like on the inside. Then there was the whole Blake Lively of it all and her appearing to be upstate and not at the wedding because of the whole Justin Baldoni thing, no Ryan Reynolds. I was really sad about that because I was hoping, it's...
Tell me why. Why were you sad? Did you want to see that they were still close friends?
Yeah. I hate
Because
to see a friendship break up.
Like, obviously, Taylor did not appreciate Blake's using. Look, the way it seemed to me is that Blake seemed to use Taylor as a threat, or not a threat, but like as an influencing force. And maybe once Taylor saw those messages and they were a little bit cringe, honestly, that maybe she took a step back. But I'm not into the.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And I think she did try and use Taylor as a sort of bargaining chip through the Justin Baldoni sort of trying to take over that movie, type thing. But you had Carly Kloss who was there, who Taylor used to be very good friends because all the gay laws, the original gay laws, because there's always been this rumor that Carly Kloss and Taylor were actually in a relationship. And that's when she came out with the whole like me era, and it was the rainbow, everything. And then she's been accused of being like queer baiting, or people like, you don't have to tell us. And so, but they haven't been friends for years. But I'm like, Carly Kloss is there. And she's married to, like, her husband's brother is Ivanka Trump's husband's brother. What's his name? Jared Kushner. And so, and you're like, she's always been such a big sort of lefty Democrat. Why is, well, we're getting there. And so anyway, I won't talk about it forever, but I could talk about it forever because there's so much
going on
intrigue to come out of this wedding, and yet we still don't have an image of the dress. And
that was going to be my question. Like, do you like there's no image of the dress. Do we know what designer that she had gone with?
Yes, they went with the Christian. Is it Christian Dior? It was like everyone's talking about the design, like the actual name of the current designer, but that's the sort of the house they went with. And I understand the current designer. Oh, was it Calvin Klein? I think it's Christian Dior. Sorry, I should know this. It's one of those.
How could you not know this?
I know. I've heard it and I've seen it written so many times. And I think I just thought it was Christian Dior, but now I think it might have been Calvin Klein. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to Google it. Taylor.
Can I ask a question while we're Googling this? I genuinely want to know why the hell you would bother. Like, it's your wedding. Why are you going to Madison Square Garden and inviting 1,000 people you don't fucking know?
That's not true. It's not true. So what it is they have such a big life. So she said, like on the Graham Norton show forever ago, it was her first interview. She said, you know what? I'm going to have a big wedding. She goes, when you have to sort of struggle, you have to rank your friends, who's going to make the list and who's not going to make the list. She was like, I'm not doing that. If you're in my life, and you want to come to my wedding, I want you to be there. And so if you think about her life, like her tour life, he has won the NFL Super Bowl several times. So you know how big those teams are. Those teams have like hundreds of people on them. And then, so you think about like their families, their massive careers, etc. They want to invite everyone. They want to give everyone a +1. Everyone said like, oh, why would you do the Madison Square Garden thing? But I think it's brilliant because you would just have helicopters trying to get it anywhere. So they just went in the stadium and they've created some magical, they said it was like a forest and a garden and and they can create anything they want but not have to worry about lack of privacy. So it's very public but also very private.
That explains the Madison Square Garden thing. I just do not understand, and I don't believe you have 1,000 people in your life that you are that close to that would be at your wedding. And my proof for that is, and I'm going to bring it up, is that this guy who owns a company that runs the ice facility in Montana was there, and you can't tell me that he's a really close friend of either of theirs. Now, if he is, then I have some other opinions.
Okay, so I know this is an issue. So this is a big issue on the internet that this guy was invited. So my understanding is that he is the father of a very good friend of Travis Kelce's. So this is like basically his childhood best friend. And so he invited his best friend and the family. And so this guy, to my understanding,
like, I genuinely ask you, Sophie, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like, I don't give a shit if you're the parents of my childhood friends. You run an ice facility. Do they have no morals? Is that what it is? They literally, no, do you know what it is? They just don't care.
I don't agree. I don't agree that they don't care. I think Taylor really cares. I don't know much about Travis, but my guess is that he would really care. I think that it's essentially what this podcast is. It's that we can disagree with people and their politics and still be sort of civil with them. And I think like if Selena Gomez, who's Mexican,
thanks to inviting to a wedding, that is a huge difference to being polite and civil to someone that you disagree with, to then inviting them to a wedding. To me, I just cannot. And honestly, and even watching these shows, I can't do, like, I will watch them, but I have to comment on the politics of it all because it bothers me. And I would never invite these people to my wedding. Like, you can have the biggest life, but who are the people that are going to be there when you're sick, when you're old, when you're dying? Those are the people that should be at your wedding. And I just don't
Yes.
believe that they care about what's happening in America, because how can you possibly invite some of these business people? Like, it
Yeah,
makes no.
I know. But I also think, I think this guy that owns this ice facility, or he's a contractor for an ice facility, who's been charged with like lifting the standards, blah, 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 blah. But it's like this guy will be sitting at a wedding with Selena Gomez, who is Mexican, who is like, so it's like, if we start to create a big wall between you and me when our values are different, we end up in our own echo chamber and we don't learn anything new. Whereas, like, this is his best friend's father. You bring him to a wedding that was so incredibly diverse, with, you know, a lot of actors, entertainers, people who are very, very left, very democratic. And it's like, let's remind him that humans are humans. And, you know, like, so I think as though, like, yeah, I'm not for cutting people off because our values are different, but I'm also not for giving a free pass. But I think, yeah, I feel like there's a middle ground there. And so, and also probably I just don't know enough, right? So, yeah, you asked me what is my line in the sand. I
You
just
have to have one. This is the thing, Soph. Like, I think you have a beautiful point of view of, oh, it'll remind him of all the things he's doing wrong with these vulnerable people, and he's lifted standards in an ice facility. Who gives a fuck? No, he hasn't. Or, like, at the end of the day, I will cut people off. And at the end of the day, we can't be so tolerant that we allow what is happening. I'm sorry, but echo
so no,
chamber.
we can't allow what is happening. But I think
We
again, like
are.
when
And your point of view of, oh, but if we make a stand and we don't talk to these people, then, you know, we're just in our own echo chamber. I have an issue with that, because at the end of the day, there are certain rights and values and legal rights and values that are inalienable. And these people are acting in violation of those. And no, I don't believe that him sitting next to Selena Gomez, who has Mexican heritage but is also extraordinarily wealthy, is going to remind him of anything. And I'm sorry to be so cynical,
no,
because I do that you have positivity in your point of view, but it's just, to me, it is so obscene that so many of the people at that wedding were so obscenely wealthy that Taylor herself, look, I support that they gave a lot of money to charity, and I think that's great. And I also think it's good that they're public about it, because all billionaires should be giving their money to charity. So that's like a tick, right? But
26 million donated to various charities, including Dolly Parton's for the kids for the books. I love
I
Dolly.
know, I know, but they also cost the city of New York a fuck ton of money and made a lot of difficulties for people living there as well. So there's a balance to all these things. But I just honestly don't believe that they're close to 1,000 people, big lives or not. I just don't believe that. And maybe that's the difference, right? I will, and actually, we haven't had this discussion. We will save it. But, like, at the end of the day, I'm perfectly happy cancelling people, because I see cancelling as the consequence of your actions rather than cancelling. Like, I just think sometimes people don't deserve to have my attention or any platform at all.
Mm.
And Taylor, I don't have a parasocial relationship with her, right? So I don't get
Yes.
what everyone else is so into. But even if I did, I don't think I could forgive this.
Yeah, and fair enough. Like everyone's entitled to their line. And I think, you know, about the wedding size, like when we're in Canada, like a normal wedding is 400 to 500 people. Very normal. And so when we say in Australia, like a big wedding is 1 to 200, they're like, what? And so I think there's a different wedding, you know, norm over there just around the size and who gets invited, etc. Like we are the most individualistic society. They have real sort of community. But I do think like the Selena thing means something to me, because when all the ice stuff started happening, she got on Instagram and it was just sort of like sobbing and crying and really trying to make a difference, and she got a lot of flack for that. But she's like, I'm Mexican, these are my people. And I feel as though, like, I don't think this guy is an ICE agent out there breaking the law. I think he is a contractor of a facility, and it's like a prison.
See, stop minimizing it. He is making a fuck ton of money from people who have been abused by ICE agents and put in a facility. Like
Yeah,
you need to get your head around that because it's actually really fucked up.
it is. I understand what's happening with ICE and all of the things that are happening over there, but I do think that
Doesn't matter that he's not an ICE
yeah,
agent.
and he's a part of a system, a legal system in that country that was voted for. And so it's like, if we get to start turning around and saying, like, you know, I'm not letting my best friend's father come to my wedding because he's doing X, like, yes, if he was actually breaking the law, if he was doing whatever, but it's like, this is actually the society that they voted for over there, that they live in, that they chose. And so I will cancel if there's enough evidence. And I think in this case, simply inviting somebody to your wedding is not the line in the sand for me. And so, yes, you asked me where is my line. I don't think this is it.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Okay, we're going to go on that journey together then.
Yes, we do need to go on that journey together, Jessie. Oh, we do. And so, and I love you hold me accountable. So I've thought about it and I will think about it some more. Because I could just be being a bit stan, like stan culture. And see, I don't have a parasocial relationship with her either. Yes, but I do.
Look, it's okay too. Like, I really appreciate we can have this conversation. And I'm not just here to tell you what to think. It's just that, my goodness, there's just so many. I know that we make excuses for people that we like. Like, I do it too. And I am trying to also hold myself accountable. Like, I was Brad Pitt's biggest fan.
Brad Pitt was at the wedding. I was more upset about that.
I'm upset about that too. He's disgusting. Like, this is the thing. He's dead to me now. I will not watch any of his films. You know, we sort of talked about Michael Jackson and he's a monster. Like, to me, when I know more, like, I loved him for so long. I even forgave him for breaking Jennifer Aniston's heart, you know. But now when I've read the FBI report that got leaked about what he did in that plane to Angelina and his children. And
the kids' statements, I read those. So
yeah,
same.
so
and I feel like that's my line. I think, like, when there's like evidence that somebody has done something in contravention of the law, with ill intent, perhaps. But I can't. Yeah. Anyway, we don't have to keep.
But but I think this is something for us to discuss in future. Is that when laws are clearly should be unlawful, or when things are happening that take place in such a way that it should be unlawful and it is actually brutal, it's not okay to say that it's legal and they voted for it. Like, there is another conversation to be had underneath that layer, yes. Which we're not going to have right now, but obviously that's something that we can think about in future together. And yes, guys, we know you come for the fun of reality housewives, but you also came for, like, a girl who has a law degree and another girl who has business degrees, and this is just how this is going to run.
Exactly. So please enjoy the argy-bargy of the Sunday lunch, as we promised. Thank you, Jessie. That was awesome. I think the moment the dress drops, I'll be sharing it everywhere. She needs to hurry up. I'm dying to see it. Okay, we've been chatting. Let's go into our recommendations for this week. Now, just as we go into our recos, we want to say a huge thank you to those of you that did jump on our socials last week and give us your non-reality TV top shows. So we did that bonus episode, the side dish, and now you've given us some phenomenal recommendations. So we thought that we would shout out a couple.
Yes, my new stepsister Charlotte. Thank you,
Charlotte.
She popped in some really good suggestions. Succession, which I know a lot of people love.
I love Succession.
I haven't watched it yet. Oh my God. I'm too busy, like, reading and writing. I need to, and I'm not saying this sarcastically. I actually do want to watch more TV. Grey's Anatomy, which I used to love. It used to make me cry. I used to get all my emotions out watching Grey's Anatomy, and Charlie would have to comfort me after, like, really bad episodes and remind me that it wasn't real.
How long did it? Because I never got into Grey's. It went on for a long time, did it?
It's probably gone on for too long. I think we all just drop off at some point.
Right, yeah.
Charlotte recommended The Pitt and The Split. So there's some ideas if you're looking. And I think
I just have to say The Pitt got 25 Emmy nominations. And so I've been dying to watch it, actually, but then Sean didn't want to watch it. And anyway, I think it should be a couple show. But based on this, I'm definitely going to watch
The Pit.
So,
All right. Well, you
okay.
report back to me because I'm not going to watch that one for reasons I won't mention right now, but I want you to report back to me on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trauma. Okay. And then we've got Kelly from Rick Rack Road, my girlfriend, who recommended Sex and the City, which I think we both loved.
Yeah.
The Sopranos. And I was like, that. Did you ever watch The Sopranos?
No, don't judge me.
No, it's fine. I think you just don't like these dark shows because then once she said Sopranos, it then reminded me of this other show that I loved, Sons of Anarchy.
I didn't
And
like that.
was
I was silent.
so dark. Yeah, it's not for you, Jessie, but it was so good. And the lead was so gorgeous. And like, but bad, but good. But anyway, and then on a lighter side, she recommended Ted Lasso. So did you watch that one, Jessie?
No, I don't like Jason Sudeikis for reasons I won't mention at the moment.
Olivia Wilde, same. I can't like him now. I mean, he served her while she was on stage, at a really big career point. Anyway,
I know, I
cancelled.
can't forgive that. I can't forgive that.
Then we had Bethany. Thank you, Bethany. You suggested Life on Mars / Ashes to Ashes, which I Googled, and it seems pretty cool. So it's like an English show about like police officers that end up in purgatory, like after they pass, but then it's like this purgatory. Anyway, it's really fat. Yeah, really, really interesting. So I might give that a go, Bethany.
Good on you, Bethany. All right. Well, this week I am recommending. Okay, I saw this TikTok post as I was doom scrolling, and I'll put the information in the show notes, so you can go and find it. I can't remember the lady's name, but she basically said, when you find yourself doom scrolling, instead of just like mindlessly scrolling like we all do, and I do it far too often, she said, here's a list of topics that you can go and Google and like essentially research, but just learn some things. And like my
That's
biggest
great.
yeah, like my biggest thing is intellectual curiosity. I think if you're not curious in life, you will be stagnant, you won't grow, you won't learn anything new. And learning is my favorite thing to do in any format. Like you can learn things like we talked about from Philippa Gregory's historical novels, like learning. I know I sound like a real like pain in the ass, but learning can be so fun. And I just find it so interesting. So she said, she gave like a list of things that you can look up, and I'm going to quickly like cover those off because I put them in my notes. So she had things like psychology, different topics in psychology or philosophy, international relations, finance, and fashion and pop culture, which obviously we love a bit of fashion and pop culture. But then I was like looking at her list and I was like, what about science and the environment? Like these are the things that are so fundamental to our lives. So my recommendation is if you find yourself doom scrolling, I'm just going to read you a few topics that you could Google and maybe enjoy learning something new that like might blow your mind. Okay. Okay. So I think everyone should be up to date on orcas, which are killer whales. I think you should be Googling those and understanding just how intelligent and community minded they are and how they talk to each other. They're just unbelievable. Also, like the fact that they're sinking yachts in the Mediterranean or wherever. It's just, I love.
Menopausal. Are they the only other ones that have menopause other than us?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. And no wonder they're sinking boats. They're pissed.
Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah,
Fuck
go
off,
for
boat.
it.
And I say this as a person who one day would love to be on a yacht, but no, like I'm on Team Orca. Another thing I find really fascinating is the Mariana Trench, which is like the deepest part of the ocean and the weird life forms that are in there.
Jessie, it's where my mind went first. It's so funny because I remember reading that book years ago, or A History of Everything or whatever, and it starts with the ocean, and there is, still huge parts of the ocean that we cannot see or discover or explore. And then these giant creatures come out dead and float up that we've never seen alive. And it's like, it blows my mind. So when you started this like research, I was like, yes, the ocean. I need to keep learning about the ocean because it's like, how do we not know stuff on our own Earth? Like we know space.
So little about I think a lot of these are ocean specific, actually, now that I think about it. So as per usual, you and I are always lining up on random shit. The other thing that fascinates me is octopi, and how intelligent they are, and specifically how they can communicate by changing the colors on their body, specifically how they communicate with humans, other octopus, other like parts of the fish in the ocean. Octopus are
Sentient.
amazing.
They're
I
sentient.
just They're beyond sentient. Are they sent here from other planets? Probably not. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but they're just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Something else I thought was really interesting is a brief mention of it in my book, The Burn. Very brief, I don't go into it at all because I personally did not research it enough. But one of the characters in my book is a scientist studying hydrothermal vents. And what that is when you are in the deepest parts of the ocean or near volcanic movements, you can get these incredibly hot vents in the ocean, extremely hot, and yet there is still life in those extremely hot water environments. And so there's scientists trying to figure out, okay, if our oceans get really, really hot, these are instructive for what is that going to mean for
Oh,
um
interesting.
similarly, ocean heat waves or marine heat waves, very interesting topic. And then a couple of things that I'm researching for book 3, which is one is how glass is formed by lightning and sand.
That's
And
the whole movie, Sweet Home Alabama. Oh, I love it. Have you watched
oh,
Sweet Home Alabama?
not for 20 years.
See, this is how I like to learn. But yeah, I think, I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure that that was a big part of the plot.
And then in Tasmania, they have a special type of Tasmanian glass that was formed when a meteorite came from space and hit Mount Darwin. Like,
What?
and this glass has formed. It's finite. Because there hasn't been another meteorite, but it's just wild to me.
Yeah,
Like
I know
these,
we don't have time, but we were like, well, who's got it? What are they using it for? What's going on?
how much of it is left? And then the other thing I just do like to look up from time to time because I'm in my 40s now, and Prince Harry's the same as endangered birds. So
Yes. Oh,
just
Jessie, bravo. That is an excellent recommendation. And honestly, there is so much that we don't know. And even just the basic things, like where the girls will come home from homework and be like, what's the life cycle of a turtle? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. These are things that I think I knew once upon a time and now I no longer know. There's so much to know. But again, you can learn in fun ways. And
yeah.
so, yeah, and a deep dive and a Google is a
Do
great
you
way.
deep dive? I agree. Instead of doom scrolling, we should be deep diving from time to time. And it's just, I was also watching a little ocean documentary with Charlie. It was narrated by Barack Obama, which was fine, except that I prefer David Attenborough, obviously. But it's just so nice to learn things in a calm way. And I feel like we're always so fast with our scrolling and everything's just so fast. And it's
Yes.
nice to do the deep dive.
To do a deep dive. Well, thank you for that recommendation. I enjoy that. And thank you for the ocean content. Without even knowing it, you've just made my day. Um,
All right.
so
Feel
thank
like a
you. Okay. So my recommendation today, I've changed it 45 times because there's so many different things. But last night we just finished the second season of Jury Duty, which is a reality show. Did you watch the first Jury Duty?
Yes, it was so funny, you guys, if you haven't seen it. Oh my God, I loved it. Charlie and I were enthralled.
Okay, good. Because it was so good. And so then we went back and actually watched episode 1 of season 1 last night because we couldn't remember it enough. But essentially it's it's a setup. And so it's a jury, but everybody is actors, or everybody are actors except for this one individual. And this one individual is being taped and filmed, and they are, there's a court trial, and at the end there's a big reveal. It's got a famous guy, James Marsden, in it, who was in Your Friends and Neighbors, and it was so good. So this second season that they've released is called Company Retreat. So have you
Oh,
watched Company Retreat?
no, but imagine what a nightmare it is for that person that doesn't know it's fake.
It is. He's like a HR assistant who's been employed for a 1 week contract for this, and it's just the best of humanity. It's every time, and it was the same in Jury Duty. Every time this person is presented with an opportunity to do the wrong thing, and they just do the right thing. Like this guy, Anthony, I'm obsessed with him. He's only 25, and and they call him the hero. Anyway, so I won't say too much, but I will say it is great family viewing. So like our girls are tweenish age. We watched it with them. They loved it. It's on Prime if you want to watch it, but it is such a good show. And then I was just going to very, very, very quickly to sneak in another one, which is Sick to Death by Hedley Thomas. So do you remember Dr. Death, like Dr. Patel, like that
Yeah, so for non-Australian listeners, there was a doctor in like the late 90s maybe, and he was
yes,
90s?
2000s, mid 2000s.
He was operating on people. He was not a surgeon. He was not even a doctor.
No, he is a doctor. This is what
Oh,
is so crazy. So, and actually Americans should know because he practiced in somewhere in America for like 20 years before he came to Australia. So if you're doing, because we just did the best road trip, it was so good, but a good podcast, if you're looking for a nice, good podcast while you're on a road trip, Sick to Death, Hedley Thomas, I can't believe the amount of details that I did not know. So this is like the same thing. I thought he wasn't a doctor. I thought all this. And anyway, it is such a good road trip podcast if you're looking for one. So we will put that in the show notes as well.
he was a doctor. Okay, this whole time I have been like believing things that weren't true. Okay, so this is interesting. Now, Hedley Thomas is, I think, a former Courier Mail journalist. He did a podcast on the murder of, and this is going to really upset me. I'm going to say the wife of Chris Dawson, and I hate the fact that I can remember the murderers. No,
Leanne?
it wasn't. Was it Jane Dawson? So he did this podcast that went really well, and I think ended up resulting in maybe not just the podcast, but around about the same time because he sort of renewed interest in it. But there was a pair of twins in like the 70s. Lynette, you were so close. Lynette Dawson. So Chris Dawson was this like local North Shore and Sydney football player in the 70s or 80s, and he had a twin, and they were also like teachers at the local high school. Chris Dawson ended up having an affair with a student and moving her into his home as like a nanny. And then very quickly after that, his wife just disappeared. And he told people for like 30, 40, however many decades that she left their kids and left. And it's like, no, she didn't.
And her family was saying the whole time, like, she just wouldn't have done that. And the children, like, oh, it's terrible. But that podcast was called Teacher's Pet. Yeah. So if you have not listened to Teacher's Pet, absolutely do that. It was really good, and we're really, really enjoying Sick to Death as well. So he actually talks about some of the personal ramifications. Like his house got shot at, fully shot up.
But did he kill people?
Pardon?
Oh, wait, Hedley's house got shot at? Oh, I thought you meant Dr. Patel, and I was like, I don't feel bad.
Yeah, buddy, you're okay. You'll be fine. Yes. Okay. So that's our recos. As you will see, we always put the recommendations up on our Instagram as well with different slides. So if we've discussed anything that piques your interest, it should be there, as well as our show notes. Please give us 5 stars wherever you're listening. If you feel that you've enjoyed this podcast, it means the world. Our views are really getting up there for us. Anyway, we've been quite excited, and we can actually see we've got people listening from all over. So like all over.
All over
Japan,
America,
Europe. Yeah, I know. It's so cool. Australia, US. So wherever you're listening from, thank you for taking the time to listen to us, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Sofie, I love you. We will talk to you soon.
I love you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Yagara, Turrbal and Lutruwita peoples. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present.